Despite their belief that they had seen every possible scenario in this reality show, none of the viewers were prepared for this. When Jasmine went live late yesterday night, looking lovely, upset, and obviously trying not to cry, the internet knew immediately that something was wrong. Comments were pouring in. She seems nervous. Why is Kirk so fashionable? Is this the infant in question? The moment that left the fans dumbfounded then arrived. With a smile on her face and her palm on her stomach, Jasmine said the words that fans had been waiting months to hear. Yes, she is pregnant again. Fans were actually right all along. For weeks, there had been rumors that Jasmine's second child wasn't just another chapter in her hectic life, but rather the missing piece in a much bigger mystery. Screenshots, old interviews, and deleted posts were closely monitored by fans who were positive that Kirk, the man Jasmine had once declared she was done with forever, was still very much involved in her life. After one devastating revelation, all of the fans' assumptions felt horrifyingly accurate. But this is where the real drama begins, since this discovery established both a pregnancy and a father. Not just any dad either. Kirk was the same person who denied everything. The same Kirk turned to go. The same Kirk, whose identity Jasmine hasn't yet disclosed. When the news spread, emotions were running high. Fans were surprised. Friends stopped talking. Family members hurried to seize control of the narrative. And behind closed doors, a storm was already developing. It was full of accusations, betrayals, and secrets that should never have come to light. If Kirk is the father, then someone has been lying. And the truth will devastate everyone. As soon as Jasmine ended the live stream, the internet went bananas. But behind the screens in her serene living room, everything appeared ominously motionless. Her phone was still vibrating on the coffee table. Messages are pouring in from family, friends, and producers. But she didn't reach for it. She knew exactly what they were going to say. She had finally spoken it out loud. What her followers had conjectured, argued, and even pleaded with her to confirm could not be undone. It was more than just her second child's pregnancy announcement. It was an acknowledgement. Jasmine collapsed into the couch, one hand on her stomach and the other shaking slightly as she exhaled. From across the room, her sister Maya murmured, "I told you this would happen." While crossing her arms, Jasmine said, "Everything was going to blow up the second you hinted at Kirk." Without responding right away, knowing exactly whose name would appear first, she cast a quick glimpse at the black screen of her phone. Just in time, it buzzed again. Kirk, she let it ring. Like a prisoner, Kirk paced his flat across town. His jaw was clenched so firmly that it hurt, and he was still holding his phone when the live transmission ended. When he yelled at his friend Devin, who was sitting peacefully at the kitchen counter, Devin cocked an eyebrow and stated, "In fact, she said that. She just went and said it after we had reached all of our agreements." Kirk looked at him and said, "Are you saying that you denied everything? That's not the point. Names were left out. We advised keeping the child safe." He wiped his face. The combination of music and anger is even more dangerous. The stillness was finally broken when Maya arrived to Jasmine's house. Kirk knew something that had not yet been revealed, something that may make this complex issue catastrophic. What is the current strategy? I'm tired of being concealed. Jasmine took a swallow. His family has already called me. Her voice shook at the last line. For months, I let people label me a liar, accuse me of putting him in jail, and say that anybody might be born with this child. I couldn't anymore. Maya softened a bit. You could wait. Jasmine shook her head. If I had waited, I would have talked myself out of it again. On the internet, fans were dissecting every second of the live performance, creating timelines, and uncovering old photos of Kirk and Jasmine at the resort he said he had never been to. 7 months, she said. That perfectly coincides with his birthday trip, an admirer wrote. He lied in front of us, said someone else. The strong feelings caused the family to become emotionally and publicly estranged. Kirk's mother, Linda, appeared confused as she watched the movie 3 times in a row, and when she did talk, it was too composed. She wants attention. She called Kirk's sister. She once said, if there was any truth to this, she would have come to us first. But as she remembered Kirk's unusually quiet coming home, skepticism started to grow. That night, he didn't answer any questions about Jasmine. Meanwhile, Jasmine's mother was sobbing. feeling both relieved and terrified. "Why now?" she murmured over the speakers, and Jasmine closed her eyes. When Kirk finally called again, Jasmine answered. "This infant deserves the truth, even if it breaks me." The words hung in the air. Neither of them spoke at first. Because there were so many problems that music could not resolve, the silence felt oppressive. "You didn't have to say my name," Kirk eventually said in a faint, low voice. Jasmine laughed bitterly. "I didn't have to say it, but I didn't. Everyone already knew," he chuckled. "You knew what this would do," she said. "Yeah, and you knew what lying would do, but you still did it," Kirk continued, his confidence waning. "You promised me. You said you wouldn't make this into a circus," Jasmine remarked. "I made a self-promise to stop lying." Kirk realized he was losing control of the narrative at that point. Producers were already approaching, smelling ratings gold, as the convention was nearing to a finish. Insiders claimed that footage, erased texts, and a meeting between Jasmine and Kirk took place long after their alleged final breakup. According to an unknown insider, fans were astonished to discover that Kirk had been at Jasmine's house the night he shared a picture intended to convey his loneliness. Later that evening, Jasmine stood by the window and gazed through her tears at the city lights. She was aware that this was just the start. Kirk and his family refused to remain silent. Too much pride, too many egos, too many secrets. Kirk was already planning his next move somewhere out there. Jasmine felt it in her bones as well. Although the truth had been revealed, the fight for it had just recently begun. One thing became evident to both of them as Kirk continued to type and delete the same message while staring at his phone. There was no turning back once this story's second portion started. By daybreak, fan accounts were debating in all caps, blogs were publishing, and Jasmine awoke to news stories she disagreed with. Without listening again, she erased a voicemail from a blocked caller that said, "You just made this worse," as she already knew who it was. Missed calls from unidentified numbers appeared on her phone. Perched on the side of his bed, Kirk was reading comments that called him a coward or a monster. Kirk hadn't slept. Every denial he had ever made was being repeated like testimony in court, and his name was trending for all the wrong reasons. At last, Devin broke the quiet. "You can't keep thinking this will go away," Kirk said sharply. Devin continued, bending down. "I never said it would. So what should I do?" Kirk asked, glancing at the wall. The full truth, but not all of it. The producers wanted leverage, so Jasmine agreed to talk to them that afternoon rather than go on a shoot. She knew the consequences of that. They wanted to cry, and Kirk was what they wanted. One of them said, "We can't protect you if you don't give us something." "I no longer stand up for myself." Jasmine covered her stomach with her hands and shouted, "I'm defending my child." The producer turned to face his partner and added, "Then you should know Kirk is planning to speak." The producer stopped his performance, and Jasmine's chest tightened as the words hit her like a slap. "Of course he is," Jasmine responded, laughing cruelly. Fans were incensed when Kirk's version appeared that evening in the form of a well-written post that contained just enough information to confuse the waters but no identities or confirmations. One user wrote, "This is manipulation." Another person said, Jasmine read the post 3 times before throwing her phone onto the couch. The strong feelings caused the family to become even more divided. "He keeps doing it." "No, he's getting ready." Mia shook her head in response to her whisper, "And she was right," she muttered while continuing to hide. Linda, Kirk's mother, went into damage control mode, phoning family members, cultivating mistrust, and reminding everyone of Jasmine's past transgressions. "She's emotional," Linda remarked during a call. Kirk's sister, however, was not persuaded. "You are aware of her personality." "Mom, timelines don't lie," she said. "Neither do DNA tests," Linda yelled. The words stayed there, thick and purposeful. That evening, Kirk also unexpectedly showed up at Jasmine's door. When Mia attempted to stop him, Jasmine waved her away. As soon as Kirk entered, the mood shifted. There were only the two of them and nothing they had ever uttered. No cameras or admirers. "I wasn't ready for you. This isn't a plot," Kirk began. Jasmine pointed to her stomach and said, "My life is like this." Kirk turned away, his mouth clenched. "Why now then? You told me you'd step up and then you disappeared," she said, taking a step closer. Instead of finding a solution, the argument ended in tiredness, and Kirk departed with a final caution. Don't force my hand. Fans were shocked and accused of being dishonest by Kirk's side, but the damage was already done. Jasmine's heart raced as she watched the door close, knowing exactly what that meant. Screenshots purportedly showed Kirk pleading with Jasmine to hold off on telling anyone the truth until things had calmed down a few days later. They were contacted by producers once more, this time in an urgent manner. We have confirmation that Jasmine was ill, and that the footage from that evening never occurred. The producer nodded and said, "We know, but someone wants this out. I didn't leak anything." Were you aware that Devon's phone was ringing with calls that he refused to answer while staring at Kirk as he watched the identical leak go viral across town? Devon persisted despite Kirk's silence. "I told one person," Kirk eventually muttered quietly. "I was protecting you," she continued over the phone. "By exposing me," Kirk yelled back, "and she retaliated by making you stop lying." That person was his sister, and the ensuing altercation destroyed their family. Kirk ended the call by slamming his phone against the wall, shattering the screen like the picture he had created. Meanwhile, Jasmine sat with her mother and observed the deluge of supportive fan comments. Why must the lady prove everything every time? After others suspected her of setting Kirk up, her mother softly said, Jasmine was too preoccupied with speculating about how far Kirk would go to respond. The scenario was then drastically changed by a narrative. Fans were immediately divided when the term character was bolded. Instead of talking about custody, a blogger said that Kirk had discussed publicly attacking Jasmine with a lawyer. Jasmine pushed Kirk one last time over the phone, pleading, "Tell me this isn't true." At last, he murmured, "I'm doing what I have to do," and her voice broke. "Even if it destroys me," Kirk whispered. Some saw it as cruel while others found it clever. As the call came to a close, Jasmine realized that the story was now about control, reputation, and survival rather than a baby reveal. She had chosen her side, and Kirk had chosen his. The family was divided in ways that appeared irrevocable, and emotions ran high once more. "Even if it saves me, I didn't think it would end like this," he said. The truth was still there, waiting somewhere between lawyers, leaks, and lies. Jasmine put both hands on her stomach and took a deep breath, knowing that everything would be revealed in the next chapter. For a brief moment, the anger subsided and was replaced by something more like regret. Jasmine's voice remained unwavering as word of the test spread in a matter of days, and fans went crazy. While some rejoiced, others claimed it was too late. Kirk's mother said in a statement that the family welcomed clarity, but insiders claimed she was enraged behind closed doors and yelled, "This makes us look guilty." As the waiting period started, both sides broke up, and Kirk's sister completely stopped answering family calls. Hormones made Jasmine's mental issues worse, and one night she sobbed and pleaded with Maya. What if he still denies it? Kirk, on the other hand, declined in private. "Then the truth will say it for you," Mia whispered, embracing her firmly. He confessed to Devon, "I feared I didn't want my life to be completely different." "It already did," Devon muttered. The results were announced on a rainy afternoon, and Jasmine was the first person to answer the phone, sitting still and listening with her heart pounding. She just closed her eyes and mumbled, "Confirmed," after hanging up. Unquestionable. She didn't smile or cry. Put an end to speculation. Kirk got his call an hour later. Verified. Feeling both relieved and terrified, he beat his fist against the steering wheel while sitting by himself in his car and gazing at the dash. Running was out of the question. Despite neither of them having made the revelation public, it went viral on the internet in a matter of hours. Fans were astonished, relieved, and moved when an anonymous source disclosed what they already knew. Comments poured in. Jasmine only said one thing that evening. That baby deserves better. He was lying. She was telling the truth. The truth doesn't have to be defended. With red eyes and a trembling voice, Kirk went back to Jasmine's door without writing anything and muttered, "I'm sorry." After giving him a long, serious look, Jasmine said, "It was the first time he'd said it without conditions." "I know, but I'm here now," he said, nodding. Months of silence cannot be made up for with an apology. Even while the family was still split, supporters were still fighting, and wounds were still open, one thing had entirely changed. the truth was no longer in doubt. As Kirk left that evening, Jasmine stood in the doorway with one hand on her stomach, feeling the weight of everything she had gone through. In this situation, denial and whispers had given way to proof and responsibility, and even though the future was still unknown, everyone present could finally see one thing. The fans were correct. The fallout was just getting started, and even after the confirmation was made public, peace did not follow. Instead, the reality served as motivation for Kirk, who cautiously attempted to re-enter the story by contacting Jasmine more frequently in private, asking about appointments, offering support, and reminding her of the months she had spent defending herself alone while he stood by in the background. Mia reminded Jasmine that she didn't owe him quick access as soon as she saw the toll. At first, she was so exhausted that she hardly responded, not maliciously. Even though Jasmine nodded, a tiny part of her hoped he would keep his promise. Meanwhile, Kirk's family fell apart in seemingly permanent ways. Linda declined to speak with the media. If she hadn't gone public, none of this would have happened. Reports, she said. Kirk's sister replied angrily, telling everyone who would listen that the problem had exploded because of lies rather than the reality. Emotions ran high, Christmas plans were canceled, group chats ceased, and the family was left permanently divided into four. Jasmine's family was not exempt either. Distant relatives questioned her choices. Old acquaintances' uninvited advice resurfaced. Even her mother struggled, caught between pride and fear. "All I want is to protect you." As she idly saw Jasmine massaging her stomach one evening, she made a comment. "I want my child to grow up knowing that I told the truth." As the weeks went by, producers circled around once more, sensing the next act. During their sit-down interview, they pledged to give Jasmine undivided attention. She hesitated because everything blew up the last time she spoke, even though fans were demanding it and silence was beginning to appear like surrender. Before consenting, she thought about it for several days. The interview was conducted on a quiet Sunday night, but by morning, the silence had vanished. Jasmine spoke calmly, yet every word had meaning. Her admirers were amazed by her poise. Many acknowledged that they had miscalculated her. Some were harsher, accusing her of altering the path of history. Feelings were running high once more. The only person who watched the interview was Kirk. Halfway through, he shut off the TV because he was so overwhelmed.